Welcome to the Medical Sales Certification Podcast. This is Colby Wood, and I wanted to start this podcast with a little bit of a housekeeping. I've heard other podcasters do this occasionally when they feel like it's necessary, and I feel like it is necessary for me to do it on this one. If you guys are subscribed to this podcast, obviously you've seen that I haven't posted a podcast episode in the last couple of months, really since the coronavirus situation started. The last one was early March, and that's roughly when things started to shut down for us here in Illinois. So you haven't got any podcast episodes since, and so I feel like it's at least part of my job is to update you on kind of what I've been doing and what I've got going on. Essentially, during the coronavirus situation, obviously I spent a lot of time with family, a lot of time at home, and if you are a member of our online programs, you know that I was able to get the complete shoulder program finished. And so if you take that program right now, you will get a certificate of completion at the end of it. So I was able to get that completed. And then I also started the complete hiring program. And if you haven't checked that out, go to medicalsalescertification.com and check out the complete hiring program. I debated for a while on making that a paid program. All the other programs that we have are free, completely free, really no strings attached to it. And I debated for a while making that one paid because that seems like one where I would like to keep whatever competitive advantage I feel like I have in communicating how people should get hired specifically. And I debated that for a while and finally came to the conclusion that that should be a completely free program. That is that business model of giving it all away for free just took me a while to reconfirm that is the model that I want to continue pursuing. So I did that, and so that is a free program. I was able to get 32 videos done in that program. It is not complete yet, but it is there is quite a bit of content in there. So I would recommend, if you haven't signed up for that, check out the complete hiring program. It's again, completely free program on our website. And so I've been doing a lot of that. If you also have been on the website, you'll notice, or have signed up for any programs, you'll notice that I did a lot of work on how to actually check out when you sign up for a program, and you sign up for, like, what are the web pages that you're hitting to make it a little bit more seamless and easier to do. So spent a lot of time doing that. So anyway, I haven't been out of the loop on everything. It's not that I've just shut everything down. It's just that I haven't been doing podcast episodes, fundamentally because I've been taking advantage of the time, being home, working on the website, working on the online courses, recording quite a few videos and things like that. So anyway, I felt like it was my obligation to at least give you a little update on that. And now that we're starting to get back to normal, I'll be obviously releasing these much more frequently, and pretty wild that I'll be crossing the 100 episode mark here shortly, which is honestly kind of crazy. It's kind of hard to believe that I have this many things to talk about specific to medical sales, but it has kind of worked out that way. Anyway, that is all I think I have for you on housekeeping. So now to the podcast. What's up, everybody? This is Colby Wood with the Medical Sales Certification Podcast, and welcome to this episode. What I wanted to talk about in this one is, this might be a little bit interesting. Hopefully it's useful and helpful for people. But I want to talk about people that are outside of sales, are thinking about getting into sales, and from their perspective, they only want to get into sales if they can sell the best product or a product they believe in, right? Like, that is a pretty common thing that I have heard, and I think it's more or less that's how people feel, especially if they are not, let's say, naturally inclined to be in sales. They like the idea of sales. They like the idea of controlling their income, of having not going to a 9-to-5 job every day, and that's fine, and I understand that, but The response that I feel like, and I'm inferring a little bit here, but I've also seen it in comments, both YouTube channels, text messages that I've got from people, things like that, is, they would be all down for getting into medical sales, but they only want to sell a product they believe in. They only want to sell the best product. And I've got to say, after being in sales, and I did not grow up knowing this, this is not something I learned in college. This is not something that was innate to me or something so I have empathy for the people that are in that scenario, who are the ones saying, I'd like to do this, but I only want to work for the best company or sell the best product or a product that I believe in. That is an ignorant position to take for sales. Okay. And it's not that you don't want to sell the best product. It's not that you wouldn't want that to happen. It's not that I wouldn't want to sell, quote unquote, the best product. The ignorance comes from the fact that who's to say which product is the best? Who has the authority to say which product is the best? Well, it's going to be so obvious. Yeah, okay, you could ask the question, which car is the best, and we can have a debate about that. But when it comes to medical products and products that are going to be used in surgery, there has to be a clear-cut best product. And I would say, no, not necessarily. It's not that clear-cut and dry, whether you want to believe that or not. There's competition, okay? It's not like every company is trying to build the best product at some level, right? Obviously, there's a time and a place for building a competitive Me Too product. If somebody has the patent on a product that's really good, that patent runs out, and then I'm going to more or less copy it, and I'm not putting a whole lot of R&D into it. I'm just building a product so that we have one of the products that our competitors have, so that can be the reason they don't use us. Okay, there's room for that, right? But to say whose product is the best in medical sales and in the medical world, you just have to trust me on this. It's no different than saying which car is the best car. You ask 10 people which car is the best car, you're going to get 10 different responses. I don't know, is Ferrari the best car? Well, they're more or less handmade. They are nicely leather stitched. They are, V8 or V12 typically. They typically run, it'd be hard to find a Ferrari that didn't run a 0 to 60 in under or over 3.5 seconds. Is that the best car? Well, I would say if you're using that criteria, a Koenigsegg would be the best car. If anybody knows cars out there, you'll appreciate the Koenigsegg. That's going to be a name that most of the, my wife, she asked me the other day, if I could have any car in the world, what would it be? And I told her a Koenigsegg, and she's like, what? Doesn't even know what that brand is. They make virtually every single thing for their cars. So if you like craftsmanship, if you like top speed, if you like unique design, yeah, maybe that's the best car. Oh, they also cost millions of dollars. You can't get a Koenigsegg for under probably $2 million. So is that the best car? Well, it depends on your criteria. It's not the best value car. You can get cars that go just as fast or, more or less just as fast for, a tenth of the price. A Ferrari's going to be $300,000. What's better, that or a Koenigsegg for $2 million? Or that or a BMW for $85,000? Or a Ford or a Chevy? Who's to say what the best product is? And so I hope, just for a quick second here, if you are somebody that is thinking about sales and you're thinking about that as a career, I think what is happening, if you're somebody that's I'm only going to go into sales if I can believe in the product that I'm selling and or I'm selling the quote unquote best product, I don't think you're probably committed to sales. I don't think you are committed to this being your career. And I think it's more of a ego thing and a insecurity thing of having to call yourself a salesperson. Because the reality of being a salesperson is that when I am employed by a company to sell a product, my job is to position that product in the best way that I can from the perspective of us building the product and trying to sell the product and try to get as many people to use it as I can. Okay? That doesn't mean it's a bad product, and it doesn't mean it's the best product. It's the product that I have to sell. And this is something that I think is underappreciated, and certainly, like, I want to approach this with a little bit of caution because we're talking about patients' lives here. Okay? Like, we're using products that are being used on patients in surgery, etc. Like, it's a big deal. But you have to understand, like, I'm a sales rep. You're a sales, like, I'm not designing the product. I don't know the first thing about designing a product. I'm not an engineer, and I'm not an MD. I don't treat patients. I don't do the biomechanical testing on our product. I don't go study in the lab. I get hired by a company to sell the product. Now, part of it is me doing the analysis on the front end, like, oh yeah, that is actually a good product, so that's great. But you have to understand from the outset, if you're on the outside looking in at medical sales, and you're like, well, I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to go sell that product unless I'm not going to do this job, I'm not going to accept a sales position unless I fully believe in the product. Well, let me offer you a little insight that is the, sad reality. Your job is to sell yourself on the product that you're selling. Okay? There is no clear-cut answer on what is the best product. Look, we have systems in place. The FDA is in place to validate and test and make sure that the medical device companies that are manufacturing products are manufacturing a safe and effective product to be used in surgery for its specific application. I, as the sales rep, am not advocating ever to use a product other than is exactly stated legally what it's allowed to do. I didn't choose to make that product. I didn't necessarily design it. But you have to understand, as a salesperson, as a sales rep, if you're going to get into this industry, first of all, you're not going to know from the outside who has the best product. You know, you're looking, let's just take hypothetically, you're looking at total joints, because that just seems like an easy one for people to grasp their head around. You know, if I start talking about rotator cuff anchors, ACL reconstruction, implants, nobody really knows. But like, you sell a total shoulder replacement product or a total knee replacement product, right? If you're on the outside and you're like, which company do I want to, I'm only going to sell the best product. I'm only going to accept a job to sell a product that I believe in. Okay, which one are you going to choose? You going to go work for Stryker or Zimmer or DePuy or Conformis, Smith & Nephew, Arthrex? Who's got the best product? It depends on who you ask. It depends on, like, is Koenigsegg the best car? Well, not if you don't have gazillions of dollars to buy one. You may like it, but like, how much better is your life going to be? How much better are you going to be able to get from point A to point B in a Koenigsegg than in a, pick any car. Honda Accord. Right? A Honda Accord, you're going to buy it, brand new for, not the top of the line model, but mid-level trim. You buy a Honda Accord Sport, you're going to pay $25,000. How much better is your life going to be? How much easier are you going to be able to get from point A to point B than buying a $2 million car? Well, not a whole lot different. You're still getting point A to point B. In the same way with the product, like, whose product is best? Who's got a better total knee, Stryker or Zimmer? It depends on who you ask. And if you ask a Stryker sales rep if their knee is better than the Zimmer one, what do you think they're going to say? Yeah, it is because of X. And if you ask a Zimmer sales rep if their product is better than Stryker, they're going to say yes because of X. You have to understand, like, the companies that manufacture a product, they're looking to differentiate a product as much as they can to make it better, or at least give them an angle as to why somebody should use the product. But it doesn't mean that, like, the other company has a bad product. If it was a terrible product, the FDA would stop it, right? Like, it would not be allowed to be used. And the surgeon is ultimately the one that's making the decision. My job as a rep, like, I can't control what a surgeon uses. I have zero dictatorial power on what product a surgeon uses in surgery. My job is to craft the message that we need to craft and give the surgeon a glimpse into why he should or she should consider using our product because of X. Our product is better than the other product because of these reasons. And you know what? the other competitors are going to have the same thing they're not the same thing to say, because obviously, but they're going to say, no, our product is better because of X. You should use us because of these reasons. And you have to understand, like, when we're talking about these medical products, like, very rarely does any one product that outperform everything else, that it's like, it's malpractice if you don't use this one product. Like, that doesn't happen. I mean, virtually never that doesn't happen. And so if you are somebody that's like, has the mindset of, well, I'm only going to sell a product that I believe in, or that's the best product, I would encourage you strongly to maybe like sales is not the career for you. Like, it probably isn't, which is totally fine. Like, I'm not here to advocate that you should be in sales. I'm just sharing with you kind of how it is in medical sales. But let's say you do want to be in sales and you kind of have that mentality. You're going to have to alter your thinking a little bit. You need to change your thinking from I'm only going to sell the best product to I'm going to try to get the best job I can with the best company I can. And I'm going to convince myself that these are the best products, or at least I'm going to adopt the mindset and the talking points and the strategy behind selling our products. Why? Because that's what's being asked of you. Like, at some level, you have to lose kind of the ignorance, the childhood ignorance around products, and understand, like, why is there a variety of products in the world? It's because everybody has different preferences. Like, at some level, like, there is, in any decision that a surgeon is making on a product, there is no one factor that comes down to that decision. Like, using cars as the example, it's just easy. I'm driving in a car, so maybe that's why my brain goes there. I'm also interested in cars, and I like them, and they're cool, and whatever. Know more about cars than most people. Is there any one thing that determines every decision on what type of car you to buy? No. There is never one thing. So, like, who's to say what the best product is? Who's got the best car? You know, when I'm buying a car, I'm saying, do I like the looks of it? Do I like the styling? Does it have 2 doors or 4 doors? How much room does it have? Does it have leather seats or cloth seats? What type of infotainment system does it have? What type of steering system does it have? What type of engine does it have? What's its horsepower and its torque? What's its 0 to 60? What's its trunk capacity like? There's no one vehicle that solves every single thing, which is why people have multiple vehicles, or if you drive down the road, you see multiple types of cars. It's because people's preferences on what they want to buy and choose to use is different. And it's no different in medical sales. Now, there's like less competition, let's say, you know, like if you're going to go buy a car, you've got, 25 brands to choose from or whatever. I don't know. You have a lot of options. And if you want to use, a total joint implant, you probably have like 5 main companies to choose from. So you have a smaller window. It's more regulated. You have a smaller window of products and companies to choose from. But that in some way takes the stress off you as the sales rep of like selling a bad product. Like, you're never going to be in a scenario where you're selling a product unless there's like absolute fraud and like weird circumstances that are going to be outside your control. Like, you're never going to be the one responsible for selling a product that is not efficacious, does not work, is bad for the patients. So your job and my job as a sales rep is to convince the customers, or at least do our best to spread the message and share with them, here's why I think you should be considering our product. Here's why I think you should use our product. Here's why our product is better. This is why we built it this way. And for some people, that's going to work for them. They're going to be like, oh, that's great. Yes, I will use your product. And some other people are going to be like, well, that actually doesn't matter to me. This is more important. And we don't solve for that. Like, our products is more expensive typically than other competitor products. So if I go to a surgery center that's physician owned and I'm trying to sell them our product, one of the things that they're going to be thinking about is, well, I've got to spend more money on your product. I've got to spend more to get a Lamborghini than I do a BMW. Is it worth it? Well, it depends. How bad do you want a Lamborghini versus a BMW? It's no different. Now it's my job to convince them, here's why you should get a Lamborghini. Lamborghini has a dual clutch transmission and it shifts way faster and it's got cool paddle shifters that are mounted on the steering column that don't move, and you've got brand recognition that you don't get elsewhere, and the driving dynamics are way better, and the styling is like, now I've got to make my pitch to the customer on why the Lamborghini is better than the BMW. But you have to understand and appreciate, like, sales is that in every scenario. Even though we are talking about medical products, you have to understand, yes, the doctor decides which product to use for the patient. I'm not a clinician. I'm not making those decisions. I don't have patient interaction. I don't touch the patient. I don't see the patient. I don't take care of the patient. I work for a company that manufactures a product that is approved by the FDA, that has strengths and weaknesses. My job is to communicate the strengths to the customers, because I actually do think, like, this is me, like, I've sold myself, but I didn't have to work that hard, because, like, our product honestly is, like, quite a bit better than everybody else, and nobody else has what we have. Our technology is better right now. So it's easy for me to do it, and I understand that. But you have to understand, like, if I was working for somebody else selling a competitive product to what I'm selling now, I wouldn't be like, oh, yep, they've got a better product, just give them the business. No. Then I would be making a case for why it would still make sense to use their product that has less technology, that's slower interoperatively, and you're probably going to have to play the numbers game. All ours is less expensive. You know, like, you've got to take an angle to sell your product. Like, that is what you're asked to do as a sales rep. Whether you like it or not, whether it should be that way or not. Like, I'm not here to tell you how it should or should not be. I'm just here to tell you how it is. This is how it is. You and I, in sales, are expected to sell our products. And fortunately, we don't have to decide which product is and is not going to be good for their patients. And I would tell you in full transparency at the same time, too, when I've worked for a previous company, not any one company has the best product across the board. So, like, right now, I work for a startup, and we have a small bag of products. But in the past, I worked for one of the biggest companies that had products over a wide variety, right? So we had total shoulders, total knees, sports medicine, foot and ankle products, capital equipment, video towers, power, all of the above. Now, I would tell you candidly that there are times where I have told doctors, yeah, our product is not the best product in this scenario. So, like, you pick out a product where, like, we have a super Me Too product, and somebody else has, like, a delivery system for their implant that's going to be a little bit better than ours. Like, I've told doctors, like, yeah, that product honestly is probably a little bit better. But, and then I roll into why it makes sense to use our product. I'm a better rep. I'm here all the time. I support your cases. You're going to be able to get it done in just the same amount of time. Yeah, it might take a little bit more work, but you're going to get the same result. Like, whatever, you just have to understand that it's impossible to say. You're asking for the impossible of, I'm only going to sell a product that I believe in. Well, you're not selling a product yet, and it's your responsibility to sell yourself on the product. And it's also, in combination, the company who manufactures the product, their responsibility to sell you on why you should believe that it's the best product and sell it. But also, like, who's to say what is the best product? Right? Like, that is an arbitrary estimation, a subjective decision. And my opinion is that if you are not in sales currently and you're considering it, and even if you're thinking medical sales, you have to appreciate and understand that the decision that when you're saying that and you're asking that and you're trying to voice that, well, I'm not going to do it unless I can work for the best company or sell the best product or a product that I believe in, that is an ignorant thing to think ahead of time. Because once you get into the industry, once you start with a company, like, believe me, every company has an angle as to why the people should be using their product. Every company. You know, the sales rep at Toyota, I'm driving past a VW dealership right now. The sales rep at a VW dealership, I guarantee you, can give you their pitch as to why you should buy a VW over something else. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to buy it. You're in charge of choosing which car you want to buy, in the same way that the doctors are in charge of which products they want to use for their patients. But we all have a responsibility. We all have a job to do, etc. And so I hope that sheds a little bit of, I don't know. It's been a topic that I wanted to bring up on the podcast for a little while. Felt like it was a worthwhile time to bring it up. Hopefully it was a good use of your time. You got something out of it. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Medical Sales Certification Podcast. And as you know, we give all of our content and training away for free, so it would really mean a lot to me if you could subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review. And if you thought that this episode in particular was helpful, consider sending it to somebody you know who you think could benefit as well. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.